Hi, I'm Maud Mosley. My pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to Tunes Tuesday, a weekly series where I interview queer, 2S LGBTQ plus bands and musicians about their music, their experiences, and much, much more. Today, I am delightfully joined by BeBe Deluxe, a Florida-based hyper pop artist. How are you doing? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm BeBe Deluxe, Miss Deluxe if you nasty. My pronouns are she, her, unless you're cute, and then my pronouns are still she, her. But I've never been hurt by a they, them. And I make electro pop in 2021. It's very timely.
Amazing. So I would really want to talk about your performance style first, because I actually discovered you through your performance at Snip Fest. And I've also found this to be in your music videos. You perform with such high energy that just is absolutely captivating. So
Cool.
what or who inspired that performance style?
I've been performing for years and years and years. And, I grew up in club life. So watching drag queens perform and seeing the way that they keep the energy the entire time. I'm inspired by artists like Cyndi Lauper. And, I used to watch concert videos of like Gwen Stefani doing push-ups on stage. And, if Beyonce can change her outfit that many times in a night while wearing heels, I can give a little bit in my performance. So, I also feel like, I'm this new wave of artists that doesn't necessarily play an instrument live. So, if I'm not going to be sitting there playing the guitar or playing the synths live at the same time, I might as well be giving y'all a show.
Absolutely. And do you feel like all that movement gives back anything to you as a performer? Like, do you find that it pumps you up more? Do you feel like it makes you more, prepared or excited to do it?
I definitely have to push myself to like get in that zone, especially with the online quarantine performances, because performing in a room without an audience, and it's like you got to be on some, you got to be on some good vibes in order to like really make it dynamic. And it's no shade to any other performer. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. It's difficult to maintain an audience's attention when you're seeing a lot of the same things consistently. And that's why I like to, I can't wait to get back out again and to really like feel the energy of a crowd and to, perform these songs on the road for people. It's really gonna make all of it come alive for me even more.
Absolutely. So now to move on to the music behind these amazing performances. At the end of February, you released your new single, Lucky, which you said was inspired by a time in your life where you felt like your mental health was out of control and you felt like nobody was listening. Can you share more about those feelings and what it meant to you to turn those feelings into such an upbeat song?
Yeah, well, just come insight into my backstory, like how I got to where I am now is I was a nightlife drag entertainer for a decade. And, everyone's definition of that is different. But basically, I hosted a show every Friday night, sometimes every Friday and Tuesday night, sometimes every Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And, it was going really well. And I had a following and I had consistent gigs. And then I kind of started experiencing a lot of very severe gender dysphoria, realizing that I was not a gay man dressing as a woman. I was a trans woman, metaphorically stuck in this big machine of expectation from people to be this big bubbly like party clown creature that I just grown out of. I got into drag as a way to make peace with my gender dysphoria that I couldn't even identify as that when I was younger. And, back when I was young, it was, you got a little bit turnt with girlfriends, you did your makeup for like 2 hours and you went out and took photos of each other at a bar and got hammered and said, oh no, nobody could take me in this outfit. It was a lot simpler. And then when it became my career, I noticed that I needed to always maintain this cheery disposition. You know, you drag queens, trans women often end up becoming these like idol like representations of what people think about transness, like especially in gay clubs and stuff. And it's like, oh, worship the dolls, worship the dolls. But it's like, y'all don't really actually see us as humans sometimes. You just see us as like staff or, you know, just these untouchable things to look at and to see. And if we ever were to do something you disagreed with, you would tear us down and remind us exactly who we are. And I grew up, I'm of the Britney generation, and I grew up watching Britney and seeing that Britney Spears, for anyone who didn't realize that's what I was talking about. Britney Horowitz, you know, it counts receivable. But Britney Spears' Lucky was a major inspiration for the song because I've been following Britney my entire life, and seeing the Free Britney movement manifest is really fantastic, and I hope she gets the happiness she deserves. But I saw a lot of the feelings that I was having being BeBe Deluxe, the drag entertainer, was similar to things that she's been expressing for years, that like, you know, if I cry too little, I'm a stone. If I cry too much, I'm a fake. If I don't laugh at your stupid joke, then you're gonna tear me down. You know, the one line that sticks with me from that song is pressure be the noose, expectation be the rope. My inhibitions can't cut loose, my inspirations losing hope. Because at that time, I truly felt like I couldn't produce anything of value anymore because I was just stuck being this. I used to compare it to being like a costume character at a theme park. You know, you're there to hold the expectations of these people who want escapism, and it's like, where is my escapism if I'm at work when everyone else is escaping?
Absolutely. I appreciate you being so vulnerable and, you know, so honest with all of that. And I guess that takes it to the second part is, you know, with all these complex feelings that you were going through this like struggle and through that moment, you know, you turn that all into this song that people can dance to, that people can be happy to. You know, was that a healing process for you when you were creating it?
Absolutely. I think being my own personal identity, if you can go beyond gender, I've always been a very conflicted person, and the trans experience is full of such great contrasts, and me just existing, standing. I was talking to someone about this recently. You know, it's like when you're super queer, when you're trans, I can only speak from my experience of being someone who was assigned with a penis at birth, because I don't actually care for that AFAB term. It's not the tea for me. I was given a penis at work, and I was given a penis at work. Let me answer that question again. Okay. Ooh, sorry.
No.
I made the choice to make Lucky a more upbeat song just because I've always felt like my life was full of contradictions and contrast. Growing up trans, you know, being a young trans girl growing up and not realizing I was trans, it's like, you know, I remember being 3 years old and wanting to, you know, wear girls' clothes and play with Barbie dolls. And I wanted to be a girl and, you know, a little boy walking around with a Barbie doll. Before I even had any awareness of any of these things, I was a political discussion. I was just existing. I couldn't just be a 3-year-old doing what a 3-year-old wanted to do. I had to be a topic of discussion, a topic of concern. And I don't think people realize that when you're trans, you carry that weight the rest of your life. And so I don't think of myself as masculine, feminine. I just think of myself as myself, but I don't live in a vacuum. People perceive me as masculine, feminine. It's the first thing that comes out of people's mouths. And I don't dislike the term. I don't rebuke it, but you know, it's like, All right, let's talk about it since y'all want that so much. So my existence has always felt in between something, not quite one thing, not quite another. So it makes perfect sense to write about very devastating, harmful, hurtful, negative self-talk that I'm actually experiencing authentically, and to put it on a dance track, because people want to dance to get away from things that hurt, but people want to be felt and seen. If you think about Robin's Dancing on My Own, that is the tears on the dance floor anthem to end all tears on the dance floor. So I think that the most healing thing for people like me is the dance floor. And I wrote a lot of my music that I wrote in 2020 that I'm slow dripping throughout 2021, because it's the kind of things that I want to experience on a dance floor when we get back to it. I want to cry, I want to laugh, I want to get goosebumps and yell at the DJ to play the song again because it was too short. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's amazing to hear. And again, I really appreciate, the authenticity you're bringing here. It's really incredible to, hear the stories you're sharing, because I know they're relatable to just so many of us. But getting into, the last question, in the spirit of, what Tunes Tuesday is, this year you've challenged yourself to create and release a playlist once a month that features queer indie artists across genres. So why did you create this challenge for yourself, and what motivates you to continue?
That's a wonderful question. Thank you for bringing it up. So I have always had an element of building a community, because communities aren't always just going to exist for you. When I don't call myself a drag queen anymore. I don't feel like a drag queen anymore. That's not how I identify. But that's where I come from. And, doing drag 10, 11 years ago, there weren't no spots for no hairy queens who sang live music. I had to make those spots. And you don't make those spots by yourself. You make those spots for meeting other people who are doing the same thing you're doing, or are like, hey, the system don't want me neither. Let's make our own system. The CIStem don't want us. So we're going to make our own. And so, it goes with my own plan. I'm challenging myself to release a single and a music video every month this year. And I know plenty of queer artists who are doing the same thing. So if I can stretch the reach of other people while stretching my own reach, and reminding people like, hey, stream my music, but don't just stream my music, stream all these lovely people's music too. Like, challenge your playlists. And I think we're always permanently in this middle school mindset of like being embarrassed about the music we listen to. We should love all, we shouldn't have any kind of hangups or shame. On the opposite end of that coin, go beyond what you're accessing from mainstream channels. Like, babies, I love Lady Gaga, I love Ariana, I love Beyonce, I love all the girls, I listen to all the girls, I bump all the girls. But there, some indie stuff, there are people who have less than 300 monthly listeners on Spotify that I listen to every day because the songs slap. So if you have Spotify, listen to your Discover Weekly. If you see an artist plugging their song, go listen to their music. Like, even if you don't vibe with the music, just try to listen to the music is my thing. Or, we can't keep collectively listening to the same 7 songs we listened to junior year of high school for the rest of our life. I will write new songs that sound just like those songs for you. You'll have a good time. It was somewhere when last year Spotify told me in 2020 I listened to over 500 new artists, and I was like, oh, work, I really did, because you just listen to your Discover and you find brand new things. And nothing feels better than being heard, and we are more powerful always, humans as a unit, than we are individuals. So that's why I try to, I try not to feature anybody on the playlist that is too huge, but like if I like the song, I'm gonna bump the song. So you'll see like Rico Nasty on there, Daft Punk, Sophie. Ooh, tough year if you like computer music.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate everything you're saying about community. It is so true. And I also, I know that I am part of the app system where it's kind of like you decided, middle school, early high school, this is the music I'm going to listen to. And it can be really hard to let that go. But, when it comes to supporting musicians, particularly queer artists who, we're seeing more of now and need our support, it really is on us to push ourselves out of that loop and, leave that comfort zone. Well, if you would like to listen to any of those playlists or listen to BeBe Deluxe's music, check out her videos, support her on social media, you can find all of that in any of the links below. Thank you so much for joining me today. This was an incredible discussion. I am so thankful to have you here, and BeBe Deluxe will be playing us out.